We have done we have understood what is primary and secondary sources. We have also understood how the sources are put through scrutiny. We have done the external and internal evaluation. Now presume that our research work is complete. But for doing our research, for writing our thesis, we have used number of resources, primary resources, secondary sources. We have done our external internal evaluation, and we have written our thesis. Now all that information that we have got from the different sources, those sources need to be acknowledged. For example, if this is a book written by Adesh Sathe, and if I am taking certain information from this book, and if I am not acknowledging that this information is coming from this book of Adesh Sathe, then this is like a knowledge stealing, which is called plagiarism, and this is a punishable offense. So whatever information I am taking from different sources, I need to acknowledge that. Knowledge creation is a process where you collect the information, you read it, internalize it, process it, and then you reproduce it, and then that is how the process of knowledge creation goes on. You add something new to the existing knowledge. But that existing knowledge needs to be acknowledged. Now here, how we acknowledge this knowledge that we have got from the different sources, and there is a way that is called footnote and bibliography. So by the word footnote, you can understand that it is given at the foot of what? Foot of a particular page. For example, you can see on this page particularly, can you see this? There is a main body of the text up to here, then there is a line here, and you see this information is given in the font that is smaller than the above information. So this is called footnote. And this footnote, there is a number here, 20, I think, 9 number. So this 9 number, what does it indicate? That during the flow of the narration, during the flow of the writing of this main text, there is a something at some particular point where author has given number 9, and what that number 9 indicates is explained here. So this is called footnote. So footnote is nothing but you give number in the main body of the text, and you explain that number at the end of the pages. Now what for that number is given? That number is given, that means, in other word, what for the footnote is given? The footnote is given with a different purpose. For example, very important thing that we have started with is that we want the work to be acknowledged. If this is my thesis, for example, and I have taken certain references from this book, then in my thesis I need to refer that this information which has came somewhere here, and I have given number 9, and that 9 number I am explaining here, that this information is taken from this book. So I'll write the name of this book here, name of the author also, name of the publisher, year of publication, and page number as well. So that anybody who reads my text, who read my thesis and sees the number 9, he will immediately understand that the information that is given here and number 9 is given, that information came from a particular book, from this book. This book may not be in front of him right now, right then, but he can understand that this information is taken from that book. So footnote is primarily given to acknowledge your sources. That is a very important thing. Secondly, it is quite possible that during the narration of the text, it's quite possible that the author or the researcher feel that we need to give some additional information. But if I give some additional information here itself, that will break the flow of the narration. And that is not necessary, but if somebody is very curious, they can understand it, they can read it. So there also he can give footnote, let us say 10, and 10 number will be explained here, that this is an additional information. So first we give it for acknowledging the sources, second we give footnote for some additional information. But please remember that this additional information that you are giving, it should not be very long. If you feel that it is going to be very long, let us say 1 page or 2 page or even 10 page, in that case you should change the way you give your information, and that is called appendix. It should not be written in the footnote. In the footnote you can mention appendix A, and you can prepare another 2 3 pages and title it as the appendix A, and put it at the end of your thesis just before bibliography. Bibliography is a list of the book that you use. We will be coming to the bibliography, but what I am trying to communicate with you now, that end note should not be very long one. It should be short one. If you feel that some more 2 3 even 10 pages information is required, in that case you should not use footnote, you should use appendix. And appendix is to be referred here. You just write number 10, appendix A. Anybody who is interested will go back and go to appendix A and try to find out the information. So we have learned three things now. First is acknowledging sources. Second is additional information, but that additional information, it should be shorter one. Otherwise, it should be given in the appendix. The third thing we need to give footnote is that, for example, a reference of a particular event or a particular person come here, and that episode is already explained earlier. For example, let us say we are writing about Aurangzeb, and during Aurangzeb's narration, for example, if you are reading the book that is called Mughal history, and on the chapter on Aurangzeb, there is some reference that came about Akbar. So Akbar, he predates Aurangzeb, and the Akbar's information already came in the earlier pages. So here you want that information is to be referred to. Again, you can just put a number. Let us say 11. Write 11 here, and 11 write the page number. Let us say, if suppose this is page number 39, and that earlier information came about Akbar on page number 10. So you can just write your footnote here and footnote number 11, and here you write page number 10. So anybody who reads your book, your thesis, will understand that this information has already came earlier. It can come later also. For example, if some reference you are giving here, but about that reference you have given a very detailed information in the subsequent pages, that also you can do. For example, this is page number 39, but you are referring to one person, let us say person A, and about person A you have given a very detailed information on, let us say, page number 223. So you can just put a footnote 12, page number 223. So the person, if he is very curious, he can turn the pages, go to page number 223, and try to find out more detailed information. So footnote, what is the meaning of footnote? What is the purpose of footnote that I have told you? In case you have any doubt, you can put in the chat box. We will go to it. So this I have already covered. Footnote is an essential part of research. Research had to acknowledge the sources. This you can read it. I have already explained this to you. And what our footnote is given, let me just go through if I am missing any point. To support the statement made in the text, additional information referred earlier, if the suppose similar finding. Well, okay, if suppose you are writing some finding in your thesis, and the similar kind of finding have been concluded by some other researcher, and you have read their book, that also you can refer in the footnote. You can just write the name of the author and name of the book, publisher, etc. How that footnote, technicality of the giving of the footnote, where should name of the author come and where should the name of the publisher come, that I will tell you definitely subsequently. As of now, I'm just trying to tell you what is the purpose of giving footnotes, and there are different purposes it serves. And there is a technique. For example, some people, while doing research, they have intention to impress the examiner, and in that case, if they feel that if you give large number of footnotes, probably your work will look more scholarly, which is not a right thing, which is not a right thing to do. It should be genuine footnote, and the genuine footnote is a footnote which explains some new information. For example, if the information is very well known, then you don't really have to give footnote. For example, after independence, Jawaharlal Nehru was the first prime minister of independent India. This is the information, and which is generally well known to everybody. And if you are writing this in your book, and if you are giving a footnote, that is a wastage of time and energy. You don't have to do that actually. All right. Where Chhatrapati Shivaji was born at Shivneri, that generally known to the people whoever is interested in Maratha history. So you don't have to give any footnote for this kind of generally known information. India became independent in 1947. There is no need of giving a footnote. Everybody knows it. But if the information is genuine, if the information is genuinely new, and then only it needs to be highlighted. All right. So this is one thing. Well, there are different methods of giving footnote. The one method that I have explained is, you go on writing, and you just go on putting the numbers, and at the end of the page you go on explaining that. That is a one way. There is another way. Instead of giving here at the end of the every page, many times the author and scholar, what they do is they give all the footnote at the end of the chapter, so that instead of footnote, now it becomes end note. Rest everything, rest every methodology remains same. I'll show you one example. Well, okay. See here, this is a Marathi text. This is a Marathi book, and here the person, this Ravindra Shobne author, he has not given footnote, but he has given end note. See, chapter. This was a chapter number. Anyway, this is the chapter which ends here, and from here he starts his end note. So this is called end note. Rest everything remains same. You have to give the name of the author, you have to give name of the book, publisher, year of publication, and page number. How that is to be arranged, that I'll tell you subsequently. But footnotes are end note. They replace each other. But generally in research, it's preferable to give footnote, because or in the book also, my personal preference. The reason is that if somebody is reading it and somebody is having doubt, and there are numbers, if he is curious, he can immediately just glance downward and read it here. Otherwise, if there are end notes, then he have to just turn the pages and go to the last page of the chapter and then read the end note and then come back again. That process sometimes becomes cumbersome. But at many authors and many publishers, they use the end note system. Even sometimes the end notes are given at the last of the book. They will give it chapter wise, of course. Like at the end of the book, they will give the end notes here chapter wise. Like they will write chapter 1, end note 1 to, let us say, 20, chapter 2, end note 1 to 25, and all that explanation will be there. But I think giving here the footnote at the end of the every page is always better, and that is generally accepted in the research that we conduct in the Nagpur University. Well, now how it is to be given, that I will tell you. Well, this I'll explain with the example. So this EBID and LOC CIT, it will become clear to you. Well, okay. Now this is where we are coming to an example. If suppose you have written this text, and while writing this text, you have used certain primary resources which are unpublished and that you want to refer to. So how those references are to be given? For example, here I have given one reference. There is a primary source called Letters of Aurangzeb, and which are collected at National Archive, Kolkata. So for your research, you have gone to National Archive, you have taken this huge collection of letters of Aurangzeb, which are which are collected into different files, and in that, the letter that is related to your research, that you have found in file number 12, and that letter number is 60. And so you are just referring here, you will write footnote here, whatever number comes at whatever place it comes, you just write number. It could be 1, it could be 100, it could be 200. So you write the number here, and there you write letter of Aurangzeb, file number 12, letter number 60. You found it at National Archive, Kolkata. So this is about the primary unpublished source. Now, if there are published books, how it is to be given? That example I will give you now here. See, you can see this slide. This is the surname of the author. You have to give surname of the author first, and then you have to give his initial. Deshpande AN, then comma, then single inverted comma, write the name of the book, History of Ancient Marathi Literature, inverted comma, complete, again comma. If there are volume 1, 2, 3, write volume, otherwise you can just leave it. Then write the name of the publisher. Venus Publishers. Here you can do one thing. If the publishers are very famous, like Venus Publisher in Pune is famous publisher, you can just write Venus. Even if you write Venus Publisher, it's not wrong, but you can just write Venus and then Pune, that is the place where it is published. Write the name of the year in which that book is published, and then write the name of the page from where you have taken the information that is related to this footnote. When we will be talking about bibliography, you will understand that rest of the things remain same in bibliography, only page number will not be there. Bibliography is nothing but the list of the book that you have used. So that I'll talk to you later on, but I just wanted to make a reference here, that footnote, the books that you are giving in the footnote, same books will be going there in the bibliography. Now, if suppose you have taken reference number 1 from this page number of this book. Now the second reference also came from the same page, but you still want to refer it. You can just write this LOCCIT. This is the Latin word, and what is the meaning of LOCCIT, I will tell you that. But this LOCCIT indicates that the information came from the book and page that is referred in the earlier footnote, and the earlier footnote is this Deshpande and page number. So the same information, the information is found on the same page, and that is how the reference, the only LOCCIT, writing LOCCIT is enough. All right. So the what is the meaning of LOCCIT? I'll tell you now. Well, LOCCIT is Latin and short for loco citato. This is a Latin word, and the meaning of this Latin word is in the same place cited. So it is used in place of EBID also. What is EBID? I'll tell you later on. As of now, you just remember this is a bit complicated thing. Complicated in a sense, though it is easy, but these are the this thing will come when you practice it. Like when you actually write the thesis, what we need to do is keep your thesis in front of you, and keep a thesis of somebody else which has been passed by the university in front of you, and you can try to do the footnoting. I do similar thing, because remembering this thing, it becomes a bit taxing. So if I am writing a paper for a particular journal, I'll take the earlier issue of the journal and see what kind of footnotes are being given by the scholars, and then I rearrange my footnotes or my end notes or references accordingly. You can also do the same thing, but being a researcher, you should be familiar with this, that when you are giving references, it should have everything. When you are giving footnote, it should have everything: name of the author, name of the book, volume, publisher's name, place from where it is published. It should be having year as well as page number. So LOCCIT, I hope it is clear. It refers to the earlier footnote, that the information is coming from the same place, same page number. Well, now this is the next book I have written deliberately to make the things more clear. So another book, that is footnote number 3. The information is coming from the book of author called Sharma K. Name of the book is Bhakti and Bhakti Movement. And you see here, what is OUP? There are some very well-known publisher, and one of the well-known publisher is Oxford University Press. So this saves your typing time, because instead of writing complete Oxford University Press, you can write in a short, and anybody who is interested in academics will know that OUP means Oxford University Press. That is a very standard abbreviation used for Oxford University Press. But you must mention the place, because Oxford University Press are there at all across the world, at New York and England and so on and so forth. So you must write that it is published from the Oxford University Press at New Delhi, published in 1997, and on page number 37, I have found this information. This will come in the footnote. Now here you see next. Next is EBID, but page number is again given. So what does this indicate? This indicate that EBID means the book is from the earlier footnote, that is a book of Sharma K, but page number is different, so you have to write the page number. If it is only EBID, then it will become, it's like LOCCIT again. If it is only EBID, that means a person who reads your book will understand that the reference fourth footnote is also coming from the same page number 37. But if you are writing page number separately, that means though the book is same, page number is different. So what is EBID? I will tell you now. These are the bit Latin word and difficult to remember. So EBID is an abbreviation for the Latin word ibidim, meaning in the same place. So ibidim is, that is a full Latin word, and for that we are using IBID, 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 and that is, and if there is a separate page number, you must write the page number. Well, now you see again here, fifth footnote, that is OPCIT Deshpande, page number 80. OPCIT means above cited. Now above you have at least 2 books which are cited, but so that way if you just keep it at OPCIT, it will be confusion. So you have to write only surname of the author, so it will become very clear now. Above cited Deshpande's book, that is a book which is at footnote number 1, and page number here it is 32, but we have to write now whatever page number that information you are taking now, that is page number 80. If it is OPCIT Sharma, that means the information has came from the book of Sharma K. Now, what is OPCIT? Let me go back again. So, OPCIT is again abbreviation of Latin phrase opus citatum or operate citatum, meaning the work cited or the work earlier cited. So, Deshpande's book is earlier cited. You don't have to write the complete thing once again. You just write OPCIT, but write the name of the author, because after that author there had been a certain books. If it is again from the Sharma's book, then you can just write EBID page number 80. But it is coming from the Deshpande's book, and after Deshpande's book, there is a Sharma's book, so you have to write surname of the author. So this is how we go on giving footnotes. Well, now that is about the books. Now there are certain books which are edited by a particular person, and in that edited volume, different authors they write their chapters or they write their papers. So how that references are to be given, I'll tell you now. For example, this is a reference which is taken from a chapter titled Temples in Nagpur, which is written by an author called Diwan A. And this chapter or this paper is published in the book titled Culture of Maharashtra. And this book is edited by Dandekar R. Edition, the work of editing. Editing is done by one or two or more authors. What they do is they collect the different chapters, they edit it. That means they rearrange it, or if there is some mistake, they correct it, or they ask the author to correct it, and then they finally publish it. So in that kind of book, we will have the name of the author of the chapter as well as name of the editor. So, and that is how we have to give the footnote. So from this footnote, it is clear that there is a book called book title Culture of Maharashtra, and that book is edited by Dandekar R, and that is published by Sahitya Academy New Delhi in 1988. And in that book there is a chapter titled Temples in Nagpur, which is written by Diwan A, and on that page number 45 we find the related information. Now there are certain books which are edited by more than one author. In that case, what you have to do is you have to mention the name of both the author here, and rest of the thing remains same. For example, Diwan A, Temple in Nagpur, Culture of Maharashtra, Dandekar R and Pandey GC, they have edited this book and it is published by Sahitya Academy. Now, if suppose there are more than two editors, in that case, what is done? In that case, here Dandekar R and others is written. Three names are generally not written, but some people do write it. There are a bit of variation, but you by this lecture you should get a general idea about how this thing is to be done. When you actually go for research, the things will become more clear. But for your examination point of view, what I'm telling you, that is enough. Now there are certain journals which publish research paper, and it's good thing that if you refer to certain journal while you're doing your research at the later stage of your research. And here this is one reference, one footnote, let us say footnote number 3, that came from the journal. So how it is to be written? By this footnote, you can understand that there is a scholar called Gopal L. He has written a research paper titled Agriculture Taxation in Arthashastra, and that paper is published in the journal called Indian Historical Review, volume number 9. Of course, journal will be having different volumes, 1, 2, 3, 2. It could be as many, as if the journal is very older, it could be volume 20. If still older, it could be volume 100. Anything can be. So volume number, then you have to write year. Then this is the name of a publisher. I remember. Do you remember I told you about OUP? As OUP is a famous publisher in the academic world. Similarly, Sage is also very famous publisher in the academic world. So it is published by Sage, but Sage is having offices at different places all across the world. So you have to write the name of the place. Sage New Delhi. So from this footnote, it is clear that publisher called Sage from their office at New Delhi has published a journal called Indian Historical Review, and in that volume number 9, which was published in 1998, a scholar called Gopal L has written a paper called Agriculture Taxation in Arthashastra, and that is how I have referred to this thing, and I have mentioned it in my footnote. Now, if suppose, well, website references are there. So if suppose you are taking certain information from a website, you have to write the name of the source, as well as you have to write the name of the website as well. For example, I'll give simple example of my paper only. This is my research paper, Khangai R. Title of the paper is Animal Ethics in the Mahabharata. You have put in the inverted comma, and then it is published in the journal called Think India Journal, and volume number 22, issue 10, and that is published in November 219. And this paper, I have taken it from a website called Academia Edu, and this is accessed on 29th March 2021. When you take information from a website, it is very important to mention the date on which you have accessed the information, because websites are constantly changing, constantly evaluating. People may remove their paper, people may add their paper, and if somebody wants to verify this thing, they can just copy paste this thing. This is the link, copy and paste in the Google. It will lead you to the paper. So I hope the footnoting is clear, and based on the footnote, we will be talking about bibliography now. Mm, Bibliography and footnote, they are interrelated. So, do you have any doubt now in case of footnoting? Tell me. Well, I hope this PPT is visible to you, and I'm also visible to you. So, well, okay, bibliography. See, in the information that we have taken from the different texts, that information we have given at the footnote, and it's quite possible that in the footnoting, the name of one book will come a number of times. For example, let us say Krishna Sharma's book, Bhakti and Bhakti Movement. You have given here also, then you have given here also, you have given here also. But in case of bibliography, you have to give it only once. Whatever the books, whatever the references that you have used, you don't have to repeat it number and again. You have to write it only once time. And in that also, you have to separate it in the primary sources and secondary sources, and in that also again you can separate it into the different languages, but it is not always compulsory. Many people they combine the books of different languages together, but I don't think that is the right thing. In case of at least your research, when you work on your PhD, it should be separated depending on the languages. So here is the bibliography, how it is to be given. The primary sources, unpublished primary sources, if you are giving first in English language, you are writing. See, primary sources also further divided into the unpublished and published. There could be some primary sources, like we have referred to one example in our earlier lecture, that is collected letters of Aurangzeb. Those might be unpublished. I'm just giving an example. Don't take it as a final word. And just kept at National Archive, where you have to assess them. And so you can write as an unpublished source. So here, as an unpublished source in English, I am writing Surat factory record. They are kept at National Archive, Kolkata, and file number 13 to 23. But write only those file number which you have used for your research. It is quite possible that this Surat was a factory of the Britishers, and Britishers have kept lot of record, and those are a very good sources of information. So it is quite possible that there could be a file 1 to 100, and in that 1 to 100 file, the files that those were related to your research were from 13 to 23. You have to only write that only those files that you are referred to. If you are not used in line, for example, you have used file number 13, and then you have used file number 15, and then 17, only three file, you write only those file number 13, 15, and 17. But if you use all these 10 file, write those numbers. So this is how it is to be written. And then in Marathi, if suppose I have prepared this combined PPT for English and Marathi medium both, then next comes, suppose you have some unpublished source in Marathi, then you have to also mention it separately. For example, there is a पेशवा दफ्तर. पेशवा दफ्तर एक है, उसमें खंड 1 से 23 तक आपने अगर यूज किया है, जो कि इतिहास संशोधक मंडल पुणे में रखा हुआ है, तो उसका भी आपको इस तरीके से रेफरेंस देना पड़ेगा. उसके बाद में कुछ प्राथमिक साधन ऐसे होते हैं जिनको पब्लिश किया जाता है. उदाहरण के तौर पर ये मैं आपको बताता हूँ. ये जो है, कृष्णाजी अनंत सभासद नाम के एक व्यक्ति थे जिन्होंने छत्रपति शिवाजी के साथ में काम किया था, और बाद में छत्रपति राजाराम के समय में उन्होंने एक ग्रंथ लिखा जिसमें छत्रपति शिवाजी के बारे में काफी जानकारी है. उनका नाम था कृष्णाजी अनंत सभासद, और उन्होंने जो ग्रंथ लिखा था, उन्होंने जो किताब लिखी थी, उसका नाम था आद्य छत्रपति श्री शिवाजी राजे यांची बखर. अभी उस समय 17 सेंचुरी में उन्होंने मोडी लिपि में लिखा था. मराठी दो दो तरीके से लिखी जाती है, मोडी और देवनागरी. ये जो है, इसको देवनागरी स्क्रिप्ट कहते हैं, जिसमें हम लोग हिंदी भी लिखते हैं और मराठी भी लिखते हैं. थोड़ा बहुत अल्फाबेट्स में फर्क होता है, बाकी संस्कृत भी इसी में लिखी जाती है, तो इसको देवनागरी लिपि कहते हैं. इसके इसके अलावा एक लिपि थी मोडी. तो उस समय मराठों के समय में, जब मराठों का राज्य होता था, तो उस समय जितना भी पॉलिटिकल करस्पॉन्डेंस होता था, राजनीतिक पत्र व्यवहार जो होता था, वो मोडी लिपि में लिखा जाता था, जो कि मैं नहीं पढ़ पाता हूँ, बहुत कम लोग उसको पढ़ पाते हैं जो रिसर्च करते हैं। तो ये उस समय मोडी में लिखा गया था। तो ये जो व्यक्ति थे श्री शंकर नारायण जोशी, इनको ये किताब मिली और उन्होंने उस किताब को पढ़ा। उसमें जो गलतियां हो गई थी, क्योंकि उस समय गलतियां ज्यादा होती थी क्योंकि लोग कॉपी हाथ से करते थे। अगर कोई हाथ से लिखा हुआ किताब है और मैं उसको फिर अपने हाथ से लिखूंगा तो लिखने में कुछ, कॉपी करने में गलतियां हो जाएगी। तो उन्होंने उसमें कुछ सुधारणाएं की, उसका करेक्शन किया और फिर उसको मोडी लिपि से देवनागरी लिपि में लाया और फिर इसको पब्लिश किया। अभी आप बताइए ये किताब किसकी है? ये कृष्णाजी आनंद सभासद की है जिन्होंने सबसे पहले लिखी, या फिर ये शंकर नारायण जोशी की है जिन्होंने उसके ऊपर काफी काम किया और उसको प्रकाशित किया और हमारे पास में लाया? यस, टेल मी, यू कैन अनम्यूट एंड स्पीक। बताइए हुज बुक इज, जल्दी बोलिए, टाइम हो रहा है। यस, नोबडी स्पीकिंग। डोंट राइट बिकॉज आई कैनॉट सी योर चैट। मुझे थोड़ा सा काम ज्यादा करना पड़ता है, फिर पीपीटी बंद करो और फिर आपका विंडो खोलो। प्लीज स्पीक, सम ऑफ यू प्लीज अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ एंड टेल मी कि दिस बुक बिलोंग्स टू हुम। ओरिजिनली सभासद ने लिखा है 17वीं सेंचुरी में, लेकिन उसकी लिपि अलग थी। उसको ठीक करके जोशी ने इसको प्रकाशित किया, तो किताब किसकी हो गई? What happened to you? None of you are speaking.
जोशी सर की हुई है किताब।
हाँ, लेकिन पहले अगर सभासद नहीं लिखते तो शायद ये किताब हमारे पास में नहीं पहुंचती है ना। तो इसलिए ऐसे केस में क्या किया जाता है, हमको इंश्योर करना होता है कि दोनों का नाम उसमें आए, दोनों भी हमारे लिए महत्वपूर्ण है। इसलिए देखिए, इसलिए जब हम बिब्लियोग्राफी में नाम लिखेंगे तो इस तरीके से लिखेंगे, जोशी शन संपादित। उन्होंने क्या किया है, एडिटिंग किया है। उन्होंने ओरिजिनली किताब नहीं लिखी, उन्होंने करेक्शन किया है पब्लिश करने के लिए। तो उन्होंने क्या किया, एडिटिंग किया है, संपादित किया है। और फिर उसके बाद में कृष्णाजी अनंत सभासद विचरित आद्य छत्रपती शिवाजी राजे यांची बखर, तो ये पूरा नाम आ गया। उसमें लेखक का भी नाम आ गया, ओरिजिनल लेखक जो थे 17वीं सेंचुरी के, और किताब का भी नाम आ गया। और बाद में 2016 में इसको प्रकाशित किया वर्धा पब्लिकेशन पुणे ने। तो वर्धा वर्धा पब्लिकेशन बहुत फेमस है, तो केवल वर्धा लिखने से भी काम हो जाएगा, वर्धा पब्लिकेशन लिखेंगे तो भी गलत नहीं होगा, इट विल नॉट बी रॉन्ग। Varda Publication Pune has published this book in 2016, but the name of both the people should come here. The person who has edited it and made it available to us, at the same time, the original author. All right. Similarly, कोई पब्लिश ओरिजिनल सोर्सेस ऐसे होते हैं कि जो कि काफी रिसेंट होते हैं। उदाहरण के तौर पर हम लोग अगर आम्बेडकर के काम पे कुछ रिसर्च कर रहे हैं तो आम्बेडकर ने लिखी हुई सारी किताबें पब्लिश फॉर्म में है, और लेकिन वो सारी की सारे प्राइमरी सोर्सेस हो जाएगी। तो आम्बेडकर ने जब लिखा, उसको पब्लिश किया, तो उसको हम इसी तरीके से लिखेंगे, आम्बेडकर, भीमराव रामराव, शूद्र कौन होते, मराठी में है ये किताब, हु वेर शूद्राज, इंग्लिश में भी है। और इसको वीनस पुणे, वीनस पब्लिशर का नाम है, 1967 में प्रकाशित किया। तो इसमें आप देखते हैं फुटनोट, और ये बिब्लियोग्राफी में एक इंपॉर्टेंट डिफरेंस यहाँ पर यह आ जाता है कि फुटनोट में पेज नंबर होता है, यहाँ पर पेज नंबर नहीं होता है। यू हैव टू जस्ट लिस्ट द बुक। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हम लोग अगर महात्मा गांधी के ऊपर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, महात्मा गांधी की जो ऑटोबायोग्राफी है वो उनका प्राइमरी सोर्स हो जाएगा। हम लोगों ने प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज किसे बोलते हैं उसका ऑलरेडी लेक्चर किया है, तो आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू डिटेल एज ऑफ नाउ। अभी सेकंड, यह तो हो गए प्राइमरी सोर्सेज। नाउ सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज में भी हमको इसी तरीके से लिस्टिंग करनी होती है। फॉर एग्जांपल, ये देखिए, सेकेंडरी सोर्सेज में भी मैंने इंग्लिश और मराठी में डिवीजन किया। इंग्लिश की एक किताब है देशपांडे एएम, हिस्ट्री ऑफ एंशियंट मराठी लिटरेचर, वॉल्यूम नंबर 1, वेनस पब्लिशर पुणे 1993। अभी देखिए, ये सेम पैटर्न आपको आना चाहिए। यू आर राइटिंग सरनेम एंड इनिशियल, सरनेम इनिशियल, सरनेम इनिशियल, सरनेम इनिशियल। कुछ लोग ये मिस्टेक कर देते कि पहले ऑथर का सरनेम और इनिशियल लिखा, दूसरे ऑथर का नाम पूरा लिखा, जैसे कि शर्मा कृष्णा लिखा। तो ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए। या तो आप एक पूरा स्टैंडर्ड लिखिए, जैसे देशपांडे अनिरुद्ध नीलकंठ ऐसे लिखना है तो वो लिखिए, देशपांडे अनिरुद्ध लिखिए, फिर शर्मा कृष्णा वो ठीक हो जाएगा, दीवान अविनाश वो ठीक हो जाएगा, गोपाल लक्ष्मण वो ठीक हो जाएगा। लेकिन आपने अगर सरनेम और इनिशियल लिया है तो एक ही पैटर्न आपको फॉलो करना है। ठीक है। तो ये देखिए, किताबों का जब हम बिब्लियोग्राफी में डालते हैं तो वी राइट हियर सरनेम, इनिशियल, नेम ऑफ द बुक, वॉल्यूम, पब्लिशर नेम। यहाँ भी जैसे विनस वेल नोन पब्लिशर अगर है तो ओनली विनस लिखने से भी चलेगा, विनस पब्लिशर्स भी लिखते हैं तो भी वो गलत नहीं होगा, इट विल नॉट बी रॉन्ग। राइट द नेम ऑफ द प्लेस एंड राइट द नेम ऑफ द ईयर। सेकेंडली, नेक्स्ट है शर्मा के, इनकी किताब है भक्ति एंड भक्ति मूवमेंट। यहाँ पर आप देख रहे होंगे ओयूपी है ना। व्हाट इज ओयूपी? OUP is a abbreviation form, accepted abbreviation form of Oxford University Press. Oxford University Press is having offices at all across the world at different places, and that is the reason we need to write the name, that is Oxford University Press, New Delhi, 1997. All right. Similarly, if there is a chapter published in the edited volume, that also you have to write here. This already footnote देते समय मैंने आपको explain किया है कि there is a book titled Culture of Maharashtra, and that book, in that book there is a chapter by Diwan A titled Temples in Nagpur, and this is edited by Dandekar R and Pandeyji C. इन दोनों ने मिलकर इसको edited किया है, and this is published by Sahitya Academy New Delhi, published in 1980. Similarly, जर्नल का हमें अगर रेफरेंसेस देना है तो यू हैव टू गिव इट इन दिस फैशन. Gopal is a person who has written a journal paper titled Agriculture, Taxation and Arthashastra, and this is published in a journal called Indian Historical Review, volume number 9, and this is published by Sage. Sage is again very famous publisher, so you don't have to write Sage publisher. Sage is enough, but Sage is also having offices at different places, so you must write the name of the place. New Delhi, 1998 is the year of publication. After New Delhi there should be comma. Okay. Now again, this is a journal paper which you have taken from the web sources. So this is my paper, in fact, Thangai R, Animal Ethics in Mahabharata. This is the name of the journal, volume 22, issue 10, published in November 2019. And this is a website address, and you must write the date on which date you have accessed this paper, so that even if the person removes that paper after that, you are safe. Now, if somebody wants to verify, they can simply copy this and paste it in the Google cursor, and they will have access to the paper. Guys, are you familiar with this? आप familiar है या फिर मैं करके दिखाऊं? आपको स्क्रीन दिख रही है मेरी? बताइए, करके दिखाने की जरूरत है? Yes? Anybody? हिना, मारिया,
No, sir.
महिमा?
No, sir.
नहीं ना, हो जाएगा ना? हाँ, ठीक है. हाँ, ठीक है, ये easy है. You younger generation are more familiar with technology than me. Should be. Well, okay, fine. So this is how you give references of the journal paper or any other text that you have accessed from the internet, downloaded or read on the internet. You must give it of the internet sources. Remember this. Then after English, I have given a listed the Marathi book, but the pattern remains same. I have just listed it for the sake of explaining it to both the medium. So here, this is a book, let us say. So here I am following the same pattern. I am writing the name of Shobne. Shobne is a surname. It starts with Ravindra, name is Ravindra, so I am writing only R, no Ravindra, because I am following the same pattern. Then Mahabharata Mulyaved will come in inverted comma, and that is published by Vijay Prakashan. That is the name of the publisher, at Nagpur in 2010. Then again, the same pattern when you refer to the chapter in the edited volume, that is a person called Diwan A, who has written a chapter Nagpuratil Mandire. It is Marathi, Temples in Nagpur, and it is the book is edited by Dandekar R, and the name of the book is Maharashtrachi Sanskruti, and it is published by Sahitya Academy, New Delhi, 1988. Now, if you have taken somebody's interview, and if that interview has also given you some information, then you can just write here interview of Dr. Babasaheb Purandare, conducted on 23 December 2020 at Pune. So this is how we give references, and while this is how we write bibliography. See, bibliography is given at the end of this book here. See, this is a bibliography. It starts with the primary sources, and then it begins with secondary sources. After 2-3 pages, I think. Yeah, secondary works cited. And but this many of the author, some of the publisher, they don't segregate language wise. They just write primary and secondary, but in your thesis you must segregate it language wise. So there are certain common mistakes. For example, in bibliography, people add all those books that they can find anyway related to the topic, even if they have not read it. This is not a right way of giving listing out the bibliography. You should write only those books which you have really read and from which book you have taken references in your thesis. Not following standard pattern. I told you the standard pattern is to be followed. If you are writing initial of all the author, write initial of all the author. Sometimes there is a mixing of primary and secondary sources. People don't have a very clear cut understanding what is called primary sources, what is called secondary sources. Sometimes the primary and secondary sources do interchange, like Ambedkar's work. I told you, Ambedkar's work on Hinduism. If you are working on Hinduism, that will become secondary source. If you are working on Ambedkar himself, then the Ambedkar's all work becomes your primary source. Then one more mistake people do is, they want to expand their bibliography to impress the people, to impress the examiner. What they do is they list the textbook also. This is not a right thing. Yeah, these are the textbook which are used for MS Sudan. When you do go for research, you may read it. There is no objection in reading anything. You can read it, try to understand, try to get your concepts clear. But the textbooks are not generally given in the bibliography. So this is what the bibliography is to be given. This seems to be a bit, you know, bit taxing, giving bibliography and giving footnote, but that is a very, very important part of research. And what I am telling you is just a kind of theoretical. These are the things which you will understand in the proper perspective when you really practice it, and that is when you start writing your research paper, when you go for your research. Even now also, when I give my references, what I generally try to do is I'll keep one research paper in front of me. If I am sending a research paper for one particular journal, I'll refer to their earlier volume, keep those texts in front of me, and I'll accordingly arrange my footnotes or end notes or my bibliography, so that there is no mistake. All right. So this is where our lesson on footnote and bibliography ends. If you are having any doubt, you may ask me. Yes, or you can put in the chat box.